as a yacht stewardess, I like to say one of the main differences is that a yacht is the destination, whereas the jet is the vehicle to the destination. So, the vehicle to the destination, you've got your passengers and they're excited to get somewhere, but they're kind of, for the more or less, pretty well behaved. They respect that we're in an aircraft and you can't jump off whenever you want to. But on a boat, on a boat is pretty significantly different because they have arrived to the party. The party is there. So you're in it. You're in the party whether you want to be or not.
Hello and welcome to the LD Aviation podcast. Today we get a chance to speak with Christina Brown. Now, Christina, I have known for a while in the industry, and you've been around as a corporate flight attendant, and you've been doing that for, 11, 12 years independently. Before that, you were doing work on private yachts, which I want to hear about as well. But I'm super curious, because before the show recording, we were talking about holistic healing, which is what you're really passionate about these days. So I want to start with that. Well, first of all, welcome. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, you're welcome. No, thank you.
This is going to be fun. Okay, let's jump right into it then. Holistic healing, that's where you are focusing your energy. What are you doing with that? Like, what does that mean to you?
Oh man, I'm so excited about that. So I'm gonna just break all the rules here. I'm gonna put it all out on the table. I found out June of last year, so we're in September of 2024. So 2023, June, I found out I had breast cancer. And as soon as I found that out, I was completely committed to beating it and being true to myself. I had a very strong feeling that I was not meant to go the typical route. And for some reason, every time the typical route was suggested to me, it just felt so wrong. And it wasn't a fear, it was like an injustice. Like my body was like, no, let me show you what I can do. Let me show you what we can do. And my faith has gotten extremely strong over the last year. I pray about it constantly. I'm constantly asking for guidance, constantly asking God to show me the way. And every time I've got something else for you. Let me show you what I can do. Let me show you what I can do. And so I've been walking this path now over a year, and how my life has transformed is beyond magical. It's insane.
Okay, so before you got this diagnosis, holistic healing, I'm guessing, was probably on your radar, but not as much as it is now. It sounds like it's a really day-to-day, or it's part of your daily life these days. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's become almost an obsession. I mean, this thing is on the back of my mind constantly and the front of my chest constantly. So it's this regular reminder of like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do? And so I'm like, okay, here I go, here I go. And I get increasingly involved. But before this, maybe for the last few years, I've been seeing digestive problems in myself, and it's just been getting more and more difficult. I can't eat the things I used to eat, and it's so frustrating. I know a lot of people can relate to that. And so I felt called to figure out how I could heal my digestive system, whatever was going wrong with it. So I started to dive into what that entails and discovered the vast history of things like the hole in the cheese model that we see in training, like all the perfect holes that lined up to give me this particular diagnosis and this disease. And it's fascinating. And so I'm like going back in time, readdressing these specific things and recorrecting them as much as I can. So taking digestive enzymes, I got off of any kind of medication that I had been taking regularly. I switched the water that I was drinking. I switched my environment. So the cancer was discovered one night when I was in a negative frame of mind. So my brain is chaotic, and I was feeling anger and hatred. So my heart was chaotic. And then I ate a bunch of candy, like Halloween candy. So then my gut is chaotic. And it was this perfect storm and this perfect moment where all of these things were not in alignment. They were just absolute terror and destruction. And that's when I discovered this overwhelming pain in my chest. And I go, oh, like made me sit up out of my seat. And I go, that hurt. What? And I just knew there's a tumor in my boob. Crazy also is that the pain inside the tumor was activated by anger and sugar.
Oh, sugar. Yes, I still want to talk about that topic because sugar is such a hugely negative in our bodies. So, what did you start with? You got the diagnosis, like you realized something was wrong. You went to the doctor, you got a diagnosis. What was your first step?
My first step, I was seeing someone at the time. We had just met, like 3 weeks into it, and he's going to the hospital sitting with me, getting a cancer diagnosis. 3 weeks after meeting. And when it happened, his whole energy changed. He looked at me soul to soul and was like, I'm not leaving you. We're doing this together. We're figuring this out. And it was just exactly what I needed in that moment, was that comfort and that support. And he said, whatever you want to do, I'm here for it. And he was a chef. So he has a very good relationship with food. And together we started to explore how my body responded to different foods. And we started to really clean up my diet. And the biggest, most important changes were hydration, drink all the water, but the good water. For me, that means alkaline water because cancer thrives in an acidic environment. So for me, that meant alkaline water, eliminating sugar as much as humanly possible, as much as possible. So, no, not eating cookies because I feel like it. No, can't. And in fact, there's sugar in bread, and I also love bread. So, no more bread. So, cut out the sugar, cut out the bread, up the water. We started to go whole foods only, no processed, no fried. And slowly, not only did my body transform in that I lost 30 pounds of fat, I lost 30 pounds of fat.
That is incredible.
And looking back at my life over the last couple of years, I am a walking miracle, and we all are. If we give our miracle bodies the right environment, it will blow us away with how cool it is.
I'm kind of curious because I've kind of looked into this as well, but what is the most surprising thing to you that has sugar in it? I mean, you mentioned bread, but there's anything else that's like weirdly full of sugar?
I just think it's so rude when I look around and I see like a bag of peanuts or a bag of nuts, and it's like, this contains bioengineered food. And if you look that up, that means it's just almost like fake food. Like this food was created in a lab, it did not come from anywhere. And like, what? And so when I shop at discount markets, discount stores, and get food there, most of that food is so cheap because it's not real. And my body will not accept it. So I've had to learn to stay away for the most part from packaged foods, and to look at the ingredient list. And if it has any extras rather than what it is, then it's questionable. So I get so offended. I'm like, why is there sugar in coconut water? Like, it's already sweet. Stop it. So I'm surprised when I see it in drinks a lot.
Yeah, that's super interesting. And this is probably a topic for a whole nother podcast, but the labeling. if I'm not mistaken, there's laws against and pro and for labeling, no labeling, where it actually comes from, what it actually includes. So we don't have to necessarily get into that, but I find that interesting that the labeling can be misleading.
Yes, it is. And it is incredibly frustrating. And it seems like an impossible battle. It seems like something that's absolutely impossible to tackle. And in the biggest picture, it I would venture to say it is impossible to get this perfect unless you move to the mountains of Switzerland and buy your own chicken and you feed it cucumbers that you raised. Like, it is nearly impossible to avoid toxicity 100%. But having that awareness certainly eliminates a lot of potential damage because it does make a difference.
Okay, so now being that you are a corporate flight attendant, you've been doing this for many years, how do you manage to be on the road and eat healthy and make sure you're watching, the no sugar and all that? I mean, that's hard because you're going out to dinner. There's not necessarily a grocery store nearby. How do you do that?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. That is a great question, and it's the most difficult. That is the most difficult part about my job is being on this health journey and managing my bad habits. So, as you know, our industry is extremely unique and chaotic and dynamic and amazing and beautiful and full of opportunity and abundant. Like it's the world is seriously your oyster in this industry. It's amazing. And I have learned over the last few years, like mental health is a huge priority of mine. So I do a lot of journaling, a lot of reflecting, a lot of talking about myself and listening to others so I can glean from them. And when I am uncomfortable, well, as a child, my go-to was stuffing my face with sweets. So as an adult, that is still my knee-jerk reaction if I get uncomfortable enough.
I can totally relate. Pretty much any job that's being done in aviation is going to be some sort of 24/7 pilot, flight attendant, scheduling, dispatch, any of that stuff. So I think we really need to pay attention to it. It has to be something that we're talking about more and more. And now I went to a leadership conference back in, I want to say January, and there was a really cool speaker, Sarah Calmetta, and she talked about a lot about mental health. In fact, that whole leadership conference talked about mental health. So I think that aviation industry is starting to pull it in, a little bit, little by little. It's still maybe not super common, but it's coming, which I think is great.
Yeah, that's inspiring because that's one of my passions. I want to be a voice for mental health awareness in our industry. I created a Facebook group called the Aviation Wellness Community. I think that was in 2018, so 6 years ago. And my goal was to have people talking and sharing these ideas of what helps them make healthy choices on the road.
That's great.
Yeah,
And is it still going strong? Like, are you still working on it?
it still
Can I join?
exists. It still exists. Yes, you can. Yes, you should join. And it's got, I think, over like 3,500 members. And I noticed that if I wasn't posting regularly, then other people weren't posting regularly. And, but for a while, for my mental health, I needed to get off of social media for some time. So naturally, that just affected the group and it kind of lost a little bit of steam. Um, Once I have more to share, and I'll probably start posting again.
Okay. Well, I'm going to look it up. I'll pop it in the notes as well, but I'll look it up because whenever you're ready to go back into it, what a great idea. Because I think, like I said, that it's just really important. And all of us probably struggle with that. I was just kind of asking them, what did they want kind of for new benefits? And one of them was meals. they wanted me, which I think is great and fine, they wanted me to provide access to getting lunch or dinner if they're the evening crew, because oftentimes we just eat or we work right through those times. Like we're busy, we're doing stuff, and then you get to the end of the day and you're like, oh, I didn't even eat lunch. So that is one of the things that we're looking at implementing, is just being able to have people have access to a good food. Even if it's a DoorDash salad or something, it's better than not eating.
I've got a lot of ideas if you want to have a separate conversation. If you would like to brainstorm or need any help, I'd love to be a part of that. Food is everything. Food is medicine.
I would actually, I definitely would, because we're a smaller company, so we don't have to necessarily adhere to maybe the larger companies' requirements. We can really do whatever works best for our team. So, yeah, I will. I would love to do that. So, I want to kind of talk a little bit about the sugar piece of it. And I don't know if people really understand how important. I'm really not a health person, so this is just my experience. But as I shared with you before we started recording, I am about to go out on maternity leave. So, and I am not a spring chicken with this with this baby. And so I ended up getting that gestational diabetes, where you really have to watch what type of food you're eating, or it can affect the baby and me as well. It grows large babies, and I'm not interested in trying to fit out any large babies. So, anyway, so I cut out sugar. I cut out like all as much sugar as possible, and same type of thing. So, bread, so no bread. And it might have been a struggle in the beginning, but it is not anymore. I just replace it with other things. And I lost weight, especially in the beginning. And I think so far I've gained maybe 10 pounds for this whole pregnancy. And she's growing right, and we're at the right everything. But I really think it had something to do with the no sugar. I don't even crave it anymore.
That's such a blessing. Great. Good job, Mom. Good job.
Yeah, again, I don't think people really understand. Like, there's ways to get around it to have the no sugar soda or whatever, but I myself chose just to eliminate it completely. I don't miss it. I just really don't miss it. And if anybody else could try it and just stick with it, give it, I don't know, 3, 4 weeks, and then I bet you'll be out of the craving for that sugar.
Yeah, yeah. It's like with anything else, it's a habit for sure. But it also, what I'm learning is that sugar craves itself. So even if you've made this decision today, but you had sugar yesterday, it's still in your system. And when you get hungry, it will crave itself. It's not your fault. It's the sugar craving itself, because that is how it was engineered by food scientists, is to be addictive and to promote an addictive quality. They have addictive qualities in it. And so if anyone's listening and they're trying to quit sugar, give yourself grace. It's not your fault. And a rule that I gave myself was, if you don't buy the cheese, you won't eat the cheese. Like, stop buying it. Stop buying it. And find something else that you really love to snack on. So, I'm a snacker, and instead of having a bowl of candy nearby, like some of us might have in our house, I have little like snacking stations. I have a bag of pistachios in my car. I have a jar of almonds right there next to my coffee maker. I have apricot kernels in my supplements thing. They're just like, if you're snacky and you hung and you're if you're snacky and you know it, hide some nuts.
It's so true, because you're looking around your kitchen. Like for me, I work from home. So I'm looking around the kitchen. I'm like, what can I eat? And if you put that stuff out on the table, if I put nuts, my container of nuts out there, I'm going to aim for that and I'll go for it and I'll eat it. And then I don't even crave that sugar anymore.
Yes, yes. So it's difficult, but it can be done. And a helpful way to do that is, like I said, that residue in our system will crave itself. So I highly recommend a cleanse. and whatever a cleanse works for quote unquote you. So if that means a juice cleanse or a water fast or flying out to Tibet and sitting with monks for a month or buying the colon cleanse, a 3-day colon cleanse where you take 2 pills at night and just poop all day, or go get colonics or learn how to do an enema, like learning, find a way for you to detox yourself so that you can give yourself a clean slate and then be intentional about what you do want to put into your body. And your body being clean will have a clear channel to tell you what it needs. So it takes a lot of the guesswork out. Our bodies are constantly talking.
Yeah, if we're listening. Yep.
Exactly.
Aviation is so go, 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 go. I think we oftentimes have a hard time listening. And we don't know, I guess we don't know that we're so overwhelmed until perhaps something happens like your diagnosis that makes you go, wait a second, I really need to pay attention to this. I guess the goal would be to catch that stuff before you get a diagnosis or, mental breakdown or something.
Yeah, and it's crazy. The statistics are absolutely insane. Like 1 in 3 people have cancer. It's just somebody you know is walking around with cancer, whether they know it yet or not. And all bodies typically will encounter cancerous cells or cells that are going to become cancerous, but our immune systems shut it down. So cancer takes hold as a result of many different factors, but one of those factors can be when your guard is down for too long. So that's part of what happened with me is my guard was down, my immune system was down for a little too long, and this problem went unchecked, and yeah, it was the perfect storm. So that's why I believe that now that I am aware of it, now that I'm awake to it, it's only a matter of time before my choices can reverse the process. I believe in the body's ability to heal. I believe in the power of our thoughts and our faith. And in our society, it's an uphill battle, but you got to just you got to make the choice, see where your priorities are. What kind of life do you want to live? Like, are you up for the challenge?
Totally, because it's harder. But then, okay, so it might be harder to eat well, but then isn't it harder to fix a disease once you've got it? So I guess you get to pick your hard, pick making sure you eat nuts every day or you don't. And then you pick which type of medication you end up having to have because perhaps you haven't watched it well enough.
Exactly. Yep, pick your hard.
Pick your hard. Yep. Okay, so I kind of want to talk through a restaurant, a visit to the restaurant, because we're all going out to the restaurant. We could even talk. NBAA is coming up in October in about a month.
I'll
There's
be
going to
there.
be. Oh, wonderful. Okay. I am not. I will have a small baby at that point. That's why I will miss you this time. Okay, so while you're there, how do you choose your food? What if you're going out to an event and there's like a bunch of little things to eat? What are you looking for? Like, if you're hungry, what are you choosing from what might be available at some sort of evening event?
Well, for me, one of the most important things has been taking a digestive enzyme. So being prepared, being intentional and present in the moment. So if I'm going somewhere where there's going to be a bunch of snacky foods or cocktails, or I'm going to be expected to eat, I'm going to take my digestive enzymes, which are going to help the process. Okay, I'm prepared. Also, I can't guarantee the quality of the water that's going to be provided. And for me, it does matter. My body acts differently with different water. So I'm going to bring a bottle of my alkaline water. I'm going to bring my big essential bottle, Aquapana, Mountain Valley spring water. I'm going to bring that with me, and it fits in my purse, and who cares? I don't have to share a glass. You know what I mean? I don't have to have the restaurant glass. And then knowing that I want to choose real whole foods, you look at the foods with a lens. Like, is that whole food or was it manufactured? Was it created? So a lemon bar is created, but a banana comes off a tree. So I'm at the dessert table and there's strawberries and whatnot next to the cookies. I'm going to look at the lens and go real food only, real food only, real food only. And it's like I said, it's still something that I struggle with, but I would suggest to anybody to really start to dive into learning about food and how food impacts the body on different levels and what you need. Somebody with diabetes, somebody with anemia, somebody who's pregnant, somebody who is getting over an illness, different blood types sometimes have different suggestions. Figure out who you are, who you want to be, and what supports that. And then it helps you make those choices.
Good point. I will say I struggled with going out with other people or even my family and saying, I can't eat that, or I don't want to eat that. I'm going to choose something different. And I will say, like, for the longest time, I mean, before I've tried to eat healthier and I just haven't been able to do it. But I have been always, I don't know about if the word is worried, but I'm thinking there's a stigma that comes with, oh, I'm going to eat certain things only, and I'm going to say no to the bread and maybe no to the water. Like, if you're at that dinner table and you're like, I'm going to drink my own water, I don't need my water from the restaurant. There's a stigma that comes with that. People are looking at you. And I was afraid for a long time to do that because I didn't want to look, I don't know, silly or picky in front of people. But now, like, I got over that, I guess, over the last few months, and I don't care anymore because it makes me feel so much better. I feel happy. I feel healthy. My particular thing is I tend to eat a lot of meat, actually. So I choose things off the menu that usually include a lot of meat. But anyway, I guess the point is you have to just, if anybody listening who has that stigma, you just have to get over it. It will go away. And it doesn't matter anymore because you feel so much better when you choose.
I think as aviators, we can compare that to like a risk versus reward system. I mean, what is the risk versus the reward of having a water bottle on your table? Like, it's risky that I'm going to, like, what does it mean to you? You're trying to portray yourself a certain type of way to these people who probably will have no idea who you are tomorrow. Like, versus nurturing your body with the goodness you know that it needs, and this is your house that you live in. Like, who cares about who's across the table and what they're drinking?
Yeah. On the opposite side, too, I needed to stop judging or thinking other people are strange because they are very selective in what they're eating or what they're drinking. Even alcohol. I see people being like, well, why aren't you drinking alcohol? Well, because I don't want to. And I think that's, we're learning to tolerate that or accept that as a fine answer. And nobody's pushing it or less people are pushing it. Right?
Yeah, thank goodness that narrative is starting to change as people wake up to how much their choices impact their health. Like, we're starting to realize the reason that we think that we want these things, like alcohol and sugar, is because TV told us so. We don't realize how easily influenced we've been our entire lives. Like, most of us have been alive for since the TV was invented, and we've had these commercials telling us what we want, and then we're like, yes, that's what I want. Okay. But if we're honest and listen to our bodies, like, we don't actually want those things. And I too don't drink and have learned the verbiage that I want to use. And it's either just oh, no thanks, or oh, I've had enough, or I used to drink, but I think I have my fill. I'm gonna stick with water. Like try to make a joke of it. And same with food, like cheesecake. Oh yeah, that used to be my favorite. But then I won't sleep. Man, sugar really impacts my sleep, and I gotta get a good night's sleep tonight, you know? Which is, I think, so always revert to the sleep thing. Oh no, I can't have that. It'll make me fart all night. I don't know.
Well, I like that you're talking about have your own, have responses ready to go before you go into those situations. Know what you're going to say.
Be prepared.
Be prepared. Yep. I was going to ask you, because I'm not familiar with this, what is a digestive enzyme? What does it do?
Oh, great question. Yes. So every body has digest natural enzymes in it, in the digestive system, to break down food and break down different types of food. There are different types of enzymes that break down different types of food. And so that has to do with your gut bacteria, your gut lining, your natural gut bacteria. So all bodies have bacteria in them. But some people's digestive systems have been compromised, or they're firing not on all cylinders, let's say, because I'll just use my personal example. I was, my mom drank when she was pregnant with me. I was a C-section. I didn't get the plasma. I was not breastfed. I was given a ton of antibiotics forever and ever because I was sick all the time. And antibiotics kill bacteria and even the good bacteria. So, and then over time, I drank a bunch of alcohol. I had a poor diet. So, all of these crappy things that, and when I was on birth control pills for 15 years, which impacts your hormones, which impacts everything. So, so my digestive system is like, we're exhausted. I'm not interested in helping you anymore. So for me, I have to help my digestive system break down food by first putting some digestive enzymes in it. And then I can have the food and then it can break it down so that it can move through my system.
Okay, got it. That is interesting. I really hadn't heard about it and I didn't know about that. So that's very cool. I'll bring that pregnancy thing back in just because that's kind of all consuming in my life right now. But done a lot of reading also on nursing and, trying to make sure that, she's as healthy as possible. I'm older, like I said, so I have a donor embryo. So technically, she's not genetically, I guess, related to me. So I've been trying to do even extra amounts of things in order to make sure that she's healthy. I have some background on what the donor genetics looked like before, but I don't have full access to that. So anyway, I've really been looking into the nursing part of it. And yes, I've heard about the C-section. I'm hoping to have this baby here at home if everything goes well. So we'll see how that goes.
Did you read about too? I saw something like when the baby comes out, they immediately wash it and like get all the stuff off of it. But I read somewhere you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to like let him kind of marinate in that stuff.
I have heard that. And so the midwife has been telling me that really they won't touch the baby or me or anything for really the first like 3 hours.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, I don't have, if everything goes right, which I expect it will, yeah, they don't really intervene with anything. So we won't be giving the baby a bath right in the beginning. It's going to be really different from my first one was a C-section, second one was VBAC, and then this one will be at home. So I'm really excited about it. But yeah, I've really been looking into a lot of those pieces.
You're in such a good place. I'm really excited for you.
Yeah. But it takes research and it takes commitment, I think, to go down those paths because it's scary when you don't go the pathway that everybody else is going. And I think that's kind of your path, if I'm not mistaken, but your path seems to be different than the majority of what society is doing. They're all doing the chemo, which I'm not saying that it's bad or anything, but it's taken courage on your part to go down this different path.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you. It's hard. It is really hard. It's always on the back of my mind, but it's like the story of the two wolves. It's like a Native American tale of the two wolves, and there's two wolves that live inside of us. One is dark and one is light. And the little boy asks, so which one wins, the dark wolf or the light wolf? And then the elder says, the one that you feed. So if I stay with positive, healthy, empowering people who are also on this type of journey, that wolf continues to lead me and make sure that I'm successful. And if I doubt and get into fear and change my mind, then that dark wolf will take over and it dims my light. It makes me small. It makes me afraid. And there's unlimited amount of research that shows our emotions, our emotional state, our well-being impacts us on a physical level for the good or the bad. So you can almost think yourself into good or bad health. You could think yourself into death or into life. And even the Bible says how the tongue has the ability to kill or to, give life by your word choice. Words can create life or kill it. And so like what you tell yourself, what beliefs, how you're talking to yourself impact those decisions. And I just feel like it's worth it. I think the the outcome that's possible where I fight like hell to address every single thing I could possibly change to get rid of this in the long run sets me up for such a more fulfilled life than okay, I give up. Just pump me up. I don't want to do it. Just do it. It's like I feel for some reason I feel hell bent on taking my power back and saying, I'll figure it out. Me and God, we got this. And if you're on my team, let's go. Let's figure it out.
That's awesome. Very inspirational. Gosh, that's wonderful.
Thank you. And I'll tell you, you didn't ask, but I'm gonna tell you, I feel better than I've ever felt in my life. I
Really?
Yeah, my weight, my body composition, my mental health, my habits, my world around me, my career, my prayer life, like even my relationship with my dog. We are getting along better. I'm in perfect health. I just got this tumor that I'm working on getting rid of.
Oh, that's wonderful. Seriously, very inspirational.
Thanks.
So, Christina, what's next for you? Obviously, the retreat. That sounds very exciting. But what is next? Yeah, what do you plan for going forward?
Thanks for asking. I'm so open to what is in store. I am loving my career. I'm loving being a flight attendant. I'm loving living here in Orange County, California. Also open to, I don't know, Tennessee. If something comes up, I don't think my career is over yet, so I'm still gonna ride it out and be the best flight attendant that I can be and see how high I can go, see how much improvement I can make with the changes that I've been making. And it's a lifelong process. I'll never reach this point of like, okay, I did enough.
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah, finished. Yep.
Yeah. So my plan is to just keep improving and seeing what more I can do, what more I can experience, for however long that is, because I could be gone tomorrow. So I had a really great day today.
That's wonderful. Okay, I have a couple more questions here because I have probably a million for you, but I will not ask them all. When you are flying and somebody contracts you for a trip and everything, do you find people are more interested in their food choices, like your passengers? When you're serving food, are you kind of creating a menu around really good choices of food? I know passengers ask kind of for what they want, but how do you kind of incorporate the fact that you know some food is better than others into your meal planning?
Yeah. If I have creative freedom, if they say, for instance, this is the kind of stuff we want on board, you can go shopping, which is what I did on this last trip. I look for things that I eat at home. So, things that I know are easily digestible and will go well together. Like, for instance, this last trip, they were coming on board after having a big lunch. So, for a boarding snack, I looked up what's good to eat after lunch and stuff that's good for digestion. So, ginger and fresh fruit, maybe some nuts. So, I put out a little personal bowl of mixed nuts and a ginger shot, like one of those immunity booster ginger shots. So, and if they don't want those, then I'll have it. So like great, I love it.
That could be like a whole separate niche of corporate flight attendant, but going to be very holistic in the food that we provide.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of amazing flight attendants that have their own chef business or catering business.
Really?
And yeah, so not only do they make it look pretty, but they also know the ins and outs of food. And I think those flight attendants get paid a little more, as they should.
Yeah, right. They're bringing knowledge, a different and better or more knowledge. Yeah,
Yeah, and then those kind of flight attendants are hired, and that's when the passengers are like, you cook for me, rather than, I want Whole Foods.
all right. Okay, so then my last question I'll ask you, contract flight attendant. If somebody wanted, they're like inspired by your whole journey and the food choices that you can help them make on the airplane. How do they find you? How do you find your business?
Sure, you can contact me. I think the best way would be on LinkedIn. Keep it professional in our industry. So just by my name, Christina Brown, and the / is Christina Brown for life.
For life. Okay, Christina Brown for life. Okay. I'll add that to the notes as well.
Okay, great. And I'm not an expert by any means. Every body is different, every body's need is different, but there are a lot of things we can certainly universally avoid.
Makes sense. Yep. And I realize I didn't ask you about the yacht thing. You worked on yachts, so I have to add one more question to the just general information because it seems like so much fun. I would love to live on a yacht and travel around. So maybe do you have any highlights or maybe fun trips you did or what it's like to be on a big yacht like
Oh,
that?
yeah. Well, it's extreme, like in our industry. As a yacht stewardess, I like to say one of the main differences is that yacht is the destination, whereas the jet is the vehicle to the destination. So, the vehicle to the destination, you've got your passengers and they're excited to get somewhere, but they're kind of, for the more or less, pretty well behaved. They respect that we're in an aircraft and you can't jump off whenever you want to. But on a boat, on a boat, it's pretty significantly different because they have arrived to the party. The party is there. So you're in it. You're in the party whether you want to be or not.
I can only imagine. And you did mention there's a show out there. I think you said it might have been called Below Deck, yes, which I haven't seen, but I can imagine they highlight some of that stuff in there. I'll have to go check it out.
Below deck is pretty accurate, but it is extremely embellished. There is drama on board a yacht. People do hook up with each other. People do show up drunk on the job. Uh, that's one of the reasons I got out of the industry. It was not good for my health.
It's probably really hard to just sustain that type of a lifestyle for a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah. So I'm 10 years removed from it now.
Okay. All right. Well, cool. Yeah, I had to ask that last question because I found that fascinating.
Yeah, one of the coolest parts about working on yachts, I think, is that you're barefoot the whole time. It's random, but when you're barefoot, you're quiet. You're quiet on your feet, so you can kind of sneak around, and passenger or guests won't really hear you. And a lot of times you're walking on hardwood floor, and they're sleeping in cabins underneath you, so you gotta be quiet. And it gives this kind of sense of freedom, like, yeah, I'm at work, but I'm barefoot.
You're right. I mean, what other job allows you to go to work with no shoes on?
No, surf instructor. That's about
Oh,
it.
sure. Yep. Surf. That would be another one. That would be fun too. I can't surf. Tried it, but yeah, none of that. So, well, Christina, thank you so much for your time today. It's been so wonderful, like speaking with you. We kind of went down some tangents that weren't necessarily aviation, but I love it because I think it really pertains to our aviation community anyway. It's still important. So, thank you again, and we'll check in again perhaps after the retreat and see how that went.
Oh yeah, I might be a completely different person.
That'd be awesome.
We'll see.
Love to hear
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
Cool. All right.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Lindsay.